Chosen one, there is something happening beneath the surface of your life right now that your natural eyes cannot yet see, but that your spirit has been sensing for some time. A stirring, a movement, a subtle but undeniable shift in the atmosphere surrounding your situation that defies easy explanation yet refuses to be dismissed. You have felt it in quiet moments when the noise of the day settles and something deeper than thought rises up within you and whispers that things are not as fixed as they appear. You have sensed it in the middle of prayer when a peace arrives that does not match your circumstances. You have noticed it in small and seemingly insignificant moments when something that felt permanently locked appeared to shift almost imperceptibly and then settle back into silence before you could fully grasp what had moved. That sensing was not your imagination. That stirring was not wishful thinking. That subtle shift you have been feeling in your spirit is the evidence of something real and extraordinary happening in the unseen dimensions of your life. And today, heaven wants to tell you directly and without ambiguity what that something is. The ground beneath your life has already begun shifting, not in ways that the natural eye can easily track or that the logical mind can readily explain, but in ways that are real, purposeful, and already producing consequences that will begin appearing in your visible circumstances with increasing clarity in the days and weeks ahead. And when those consequences begin appearing, chosen one, they will surprise you. Not because God is unpredictable or capricious in how he works, but because the magnitude of what he has been doing beneath the surface of your life far exceeds what the visible evidence of your recent seasons would have suggested was possible. Get ready, because what is coming up from beneath the shifting ground of your life is greater than what you have been able to see from above it. What it means for the ground to shift before we go deeper into what God is doing in your life right now. Chosen one, it is important to understand what it means spiritually when the ground beneath a life begins to shift. Because this is not a metaphor without substance. It is a description of a specific and real phenomenon that occurs in the spiritual realm when God begins preparing a chosen life for a new season of breakthrough, elevation, and purpose. In the natural world, ground that appears completely solid and unchanging on the surface is often in constant movement beneath it. Tectonic plates shift. Underground rivers carve new channels through rock. Root systems push through compacted soil, creating pathways where no pathway previously existed. The surface may look identical from one day to the next, while beneath it a transformation is underway that will eventually produce a change so significant that the surface itself cannot contain it and must express what has been happening below. This is precisely what God does in the lives of chosen hearts before seasons of major breakthrough. He begins working beneath the surface. He begins shifting the spiritual foundations of the situation. He begins moving the unseen elements of the breakthrough into alignment long before any visible evidence of what is coming appears on the surface of the person's circumstances. He begins preparing the ground so thoroughly and so completely that when the breakthrough finally erupts into the visible realm, it does so with a fullness and a completeness that could only have been produced by the depth of invisible preparation that preceded it. The shifting you have been sensing beneath your life is God at work in that underground dimension. He is moving things that appear immovable from the surface. He is carving new channels through situations that seemed completely impenetrable. He is pushing the roots of your new season through the compacted soil of your old one, creating pathways for life and provision and purpose where no pathway previously existed. And this work, though largely invisible to you right now, is as real and as consequential as anything that has ever happened in the visible dimensions of your journey. Why the shifting began now, chosen one. Nothing in the economy of God happens randomly or without specific cause. The shifting that has begun beneath your life did not start because a cosmic calendar randomly arrived at your turn. It did not begin because God ran out of other people to focus on and finally got around to your situation. It began now, at this specific moment in your journey, for reasons that are deeply connected to who you have become through everything you have walked through to get here. The ground beneath your life began shifting because your spirit reached a place of genuine surrender that it had not previously fully arrived at. Surrender is not the same as giving up. Giving up is a movement away from faith. Surrender is a movement deeper into it. Giving up says, I no longer believe the promise. Surrender says, I believe the promise completely, and I release my grip on how and when it must be fulfilled. Giving up closes the hands, surrender opens them. At some point in your recent journey, your hands opened. Perhaps you're fully aware of the moment it happened. Perhaps it occurred so quietly and gradually that you cannot point to a specific instant, but you know that something released in your spirit that had previously been held tightly. Perhaps it happened in a moment of exhausted prayer when you finally stopped telling God how the answer needed to arrive and simply asked Him to move in whatever way He chose. Perhaps it happened in a moment of worship when something broke open in your chest and the control you had been maintaining over your own expectations finally gave way. Whatever form it took, that surrender was the signal heaven had been waiting for, because the ground cannot shift fully beneath a life that is still trying to direct its own movement from above. The underground work of God requires a stillness and an openness from the person above ground that allows him to move without the interference of human striving and human agenda. When you surrendered, you gave God the unobstructed access to the foundation of your situation that he needed to begin the shifting that is now already underway. The ground began moving the moment your hands opened, and it has not stopped moving since. The surprising nature of what is coming, heaven specifically wants to address the word surprise in this message, chosen one. Because what is coming as the shifting ground of your life begins to express itself in your visible circumstances will not look the way you have been expecting it to look. And that unexpected quality is not a deficiency in how God is working. It is one of the most beautiful and consistent characteristics of how he moves in chosen lives. The surprise is not accidental. God is not unpredictable in the way that randomness is unpredictable. He is unpredictable in the way that a master artist is unpredictable. When you watch a master at work, you cannot always anticipate the next stroke. You cannot always predict which color they will reach for or which direction their brush will move. But when the piece is complete, every stroke makes perfect sense, and you recognize that every seemingly unexpected choice was essential to the final result that no lesser or more predictable approach could have produced. What is coming in your life will carry that same quality of divine artistry. The breakthroughs will arrive through channels you were not watching. The provision will come from directions you were not expecting. The connections will appear in contexts where you were not looking for them. The healing will move through pathways that your natural mind would not have selected as the most obvious routes. And in every case, when you look back at how each unexpected element arrived, you will see the hand of a master at work whose vision for the final picture was always more complete and more beautiful than anything you could have designed from your own limited vantage point. The surprise is a gift, chosen one. It is God's way of demonstrating that the breakthrough in your life is genuinely His work and not the product of your own cleverness or strategy. When the unexpected happens, when the provision arrives through a door you were not watching, when the healing comes through a pathway you did not anticipate, when the connection appears in a context you would never have thought to look in, there is only one explanation available. God did it. And that undeniable divine authorship of your breakthrough will produce a testimony in your life that carries a weight and a credibility that a more predictable miracle could never have generated. What is shifting specifically? Let us speak specifically, chosen one, about what areas of your life the shifting ground is already moving beneath. Because understanding where the underground work is happening will help you recognize the surface expressions of it as they begin to appear. Beneath the area of your provision, the ground is shifting. Channels of supply that have been blocked or severely restricted are being cleared. New streams of provision are being carved through territory that previously seemed completely inhospitable to financial breakthrough. People who carry resources that are connected to your assignment are being positioned in your direction. Opportunities that will produce the provision your next season requires are being assembled and prepared for the moment when their appearance in your visible circumstances will have the maximum impact. What has felt like a ceiling on your financial reality is not a permanent architectural feature of your life. It is a temporary condition that the shifting ground beneath you is already in the process of removing. Beneath the area of your relationships, the ground is shifting. Connections that have been strained beyond what natural repair could restore are receiving divine intervention at the root level in the unseen places where the real damage occurred and where only God can reach. New relationships of extraordinary quality and divine purpose are being prepared and positioned for entry into your life at precisely the right moments. People who are meant to carry your story forward with you, who are meant to stand beside you in the new season that the shifting ground is preparing you for, are being moved into alignment with your path even now, even before you have any visible indication that they are coming. Beneath the area of your health and inner wholeness, the ground is shifting. The places in your body, your emotions, your mind, and your spirit that have needed healing are receiving a divine attention that goes deeper than any surface-level treatment could reach. God is working at the foundation of your well-being, addressing root causes rather than surface symptoms, producing a wholeness that will express itself in your visible experience as a restoration so thorough that it will leave you wondering how you lived for so long carrying what you were carrying without fully realizing its weight until it was gone. Beneath the area of your purpose and calling, the ground is shifting. The assignment that has been forming in you through every season of preparation is approaching its moment of full expression. The gifts that were deposited in you before you were born and that have been shaped and refined through every experience of your life are being positioned for deployment into the specific territory that only they can reach. The platform that your testimony requires to have its full impact is being constructed in the invisible realm, and its appearance in the visible one will come at the moment when everything else that has been shifting beneath your life is ready to surface simultaneously. Do not be shaken by the shaking chosen one. There is something important that must be said about the nature of ground that is shifting. When ground shifts, the things that have been resting on the surface of that ground experience disruption. The movement below the surface produces movement above it. And not all of that surface movement feels comfortable or reassuring when you are standing in the middle of it. There may be things in your life right now that feel unsettled in ways that concern you, situations that feel less stable than they did before, circumstances that seem to be in flux when you would prefer them to be fixed and certain, relationships that appear to be going through a season of adjustment that feels uncomfortable and unclear in its direction. Plans that seemed solid are showing signs of movement that makes their outcome uncertain. If that is what you are experiencing, chosen one, receive this truth and hold it tightly. The unsettling you feel above the ground is the evidence of the shifting happening beneath it. It is not a sign that things are falling apart. It is a sign that God is rearranging the foundation. And when God rearranges foundations, things that were resting on the old foundation must be repositioned before they can rest securely on the new one. That repositioning can feel like disruption, but it is actually divine order being established at a level deeper than what was previously in place. Do not be shaken by the shaking, chosen one. Do not interpret the surface disruption as evidence that God is absent, or that the promise has been cancelled, or that things are deteriorating beyond recovery. Interpret it instead as confirmation that the underground work is real and active and producing surface expressions that will become increasingly clear in their divine purpose as the shifting continues toward its completion. The disruption is temporary. The new foundation being laid beneath it is eternal, signs that the shifting is reaching the surface. As the ground beneath your life continues shifting, chosen one, there are specific signs that will begin appearing in your visible circumstances that confirm the underground work is reaching the surface. Learning to recognize these signs will keep your faith strong and your expectation alive during the moments when the full breakthrough has not yet appeared but is clearly on its way. The first sign is unexpected peace. In situations that previously produced consistent anxiety, you will begin noticing a peace settling in that makes no logical sense given the circumstances. That peace is not denial or emotional disconnection. It is the signature of God's presence moving from the underground realm of your situation into the surface level of your experience. When peace arrives where worry previously lived, the shifting ground has broken through. The second sign is unexpected doors. Opportunities, conversations, connections, and openings will begin appearing in your path that you cannot trace back to your own effort or strategy. They will seem to arrive from nowhere. They will appear at moments when you were not specifically pursuing them. They will come through people and contexts that you would not have thought to approach. These unexpected doors are the surface expression of the underground channels that God has been carving through the shifting ground beneath your life. The third sign is unexpected strength. In seasons where your energy has felt depleted and your endurance has felt stretched beyond its limit, you will begin noticing a resilience returning to your spirit that you cannot fully account for, a capacity to face what previously overwhelmed you, a steadiness in circumstances that previously destabilized you, a quiet confidence replacing the anxiety that characterized the previous season. This returning strength is the surface expression of the new foundation being laid beneath you by the shifting ground. The fourth sign is unexpected clarity. Confusion that has clouded your sense of direction will begin lifting. The path forward that once seemed obscured by too many uncertainties will begin revealing itself with increasing clarity. Decisions that felt impossible to make with confidence will begin carrying a clear and settled sense of rightness. Ideas will come with a freshness and precision that tells you they originate from a source beyond your own natural thinking. This clarity is the surface expression of purpose rising through the shifting ground toward its moment of full manifestation. Stand firm and watch heaven move, chosen one. As this message draws to its close, receive this final word, and let it settle into the deepest place of your spirit where faith lives and breathes, and refuses to be extinguished by any circumstance. You do not need to make the ground shift. It is already shifting. You do not need to produce the breakthrough through increased striving or more elaborate strategy. The breakthrough is already being produced in the underground realm, where God has been working since the moment you surrendered and opened your hands. You do not need to figure out how the surprise will arrive or from which direction the unexpected provision and healing and connection and purpose will emerge. God has already figured it out, and his plan is better than anything your natural mind could have designed. What you need to do is stand. Stand in faith on the ground that is shifting beneath you. Stand in trust, even when the surface feels unstable. Stand in expectation, even when the full breakthrough has not yet appeared. Stand in gratitude for what is coming, even before it arrives in your visible experience. Stand in the knowledge that the God who began the underground work in your life is faithful to complete it. That he does not start what he does not finish. That he does not shift the ground beneath a chosen life only to abandon the process before the breakthrough surfaces. The ground is shifting, chosen one. The surprise is coming, and what emerges from beneath the surface of your life in this new season will exceed everything you asked for, everything you hoped for, and everything your natural mind was able to imagine was still possible for your life. Stand firm. Heaven is already moving, and what is coming up from the shifting ground beneath you will change everything. Type Amen if you receive this word today. Share this message with someone who needs to know that the shifting they feel beneath their life is not destruction. It is God preparing their greatest breakthrough.